is In the Shadows Podcast. Lots of cigar talk, but if it's going on in the world, we'll be talking about that too. And by the way, the fellas don't shy away from controversial topics. Trust me. So grab that stick, kick back with your favorite drink, and let's do the thing. This is the In the Shadows Podcast. Now your hosts, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin, along with Albert, Martine, and Eric.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Shadow Smokes Legion in the Shadow Podcast. I'm Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin, and today we're joined by Albert, Eric, and Martine as usual to talk about, myth of the cigar industry that's well known, but you knew it was not true. Now, there's a lot of cigar myth out there, and I think it will be kind of cool if we talk about what we knew and why it's not true. Right, so I don't know how many stories you guys know, but we can start with the most simple one, right? Because we know that there is such a cigar that's kind of braided into threes. It's called the Calibra cigars. And then for a while we thought it's like a Cuban thing. There's a whole story about how the Cuban workers is only allowed 3 cigars, and that's how they braid it, put it to the side so they can each take one home. But come to know that it existed long ago. It existed in the late 1800s, 1880, 1890s, and it's made by a Philippine company, and then come to the US, and we have it called a Filbert's Twister or something like that. So it's kind of cool that they came out with this whole story. But if you really think about it, it doesn't make sense at all, because if you work in the cigar industry, you work in the rolling floor, and if you look at videos of people in the rolling floor, they are smoking all day, right? They always have a cigar with the fumas. They kind of just smoking it. They don't really need to bring 3 cigars home. Not to mention when you braid it that way, it ruins the draw. It ruins the structure of the cigar. It ruins the draw. It is not a good way to bring cigar home and smoke it that way. Not to mention, there was another myth that's evolved about that, saying that they were tying into threes so that they can age better. They age together kind of thing. But if you smoke a cigar for a while, and you have enough cigars in the home, you'll know that when you stack cigars together, they don't age evenly. You got to rotate them. You got to move the moisture. They tie them together isn't going to do any good. Basically, whatever they're doing is ruining the cigar in a way that is not really meant for, proper consumption in a way. So I don't know. What kind of story you guys have that's similar to that? Let's start with Albert. Albert, what kind of story do you have that you knew was not true?
I think the story I could think of would be Cuban cigars are the best in the world. I think it's a very common myth, right?
Yeah, we hear it all the time. It's the forbidden fruit.
Right. And that is so much better than other cigars. And so when I worked in a cigar lounge for a few years, we'd always have someone come in and ask about, hey, do y'all sell Cubans? And, that's the best. Or sometimes people would bring a box of Cubans in that they purchased while in Mexico or wherever they went. And they would ask, is this really a Cuban? And they would try to buy a humidor for it, that kind of a thing, because they wanted to make sure they protected their investment. Because they felt like they had something so valuable. And I think that myth was, it was personally dispelled for me when I had someone bring me a bunch of Cuban cigars. They were bona fide Cubans. They were a varied collection of different makes and different makers and different vitolas. And they were good cigars, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they were better. They did not really stand out as being much better than the New World cigars that we were smoking. New World being ones from Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, things like that. So those, while it was enjoyable, and I thank my brother for bringing those to me. It was just not. It was not what the myth held out to be, and honestly, I think what I would experience is that people would they would hand you a cigar they got from Cuba, and you would smoke it, and it's really not much better. In some cases, worse, because they're trying to hang on to it for too long, or they didn't really store it correctly, or it just wasn't rolled right, or it was a fake. It could have been a fake, and then therefore, just wasn't a good quality cigar, in the end. But it had the association of being a Cuban cigar. So the Cuban cigar myth, I think, is one that cigar smokers have to kind of journey through.
Okay. I think to add to that is that on top of what people say, like, oh, Cuban cigar is the best cigar in the world, I think the big myth are usually surrounding about Cohiba. And people's like, Cohiba is the oldest, the best Cuban cigar brands out there. Like, if you're looking for Cuban cigar, it has to be Cohiba because it's the oldest, the best out there. But they are not the oldest, right? One of the oldest were like H. Artman's, that actually was much better than Cohiba. So, like, that's one of those myths that if you got into buying any sort of like a collection of Cuban cigar and smoked it, you will have figured out really quickly on that particular myth. So, Martin, what's your myth?
I think going along with what he was saying, I just feel like when people are first getting into cigars, everybody hears about Cubans, even non-smokers. I've been driving through a drive-through. I've been driving through a drive-through, smoking a cigar, and I had an employee at the window was like, "Oh, that smells good. Is that a Cuban?" It's like, no, there's more tobacco out there than just Cubans. So it's like in everybody's brain that they think if you're smoking a cigar, it's a Cuban. It's not like that.
Okay, so I guess your story was the myth that would be is that if you're smoking cigar at all, it has to be a Cuban cigar, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, Eric, what's yours?
The myth that I think is very funny, and in the beginning, I thought the same thing is, how like when you smoke a cigar, you have like a little bad burn, and then you turn the cigar and the heat go the other way, so it make it even burn out. That myth was stupid. It doesn't do shit.
Busted.
Yeah.
I think if you're sitting inside and you can kind of let the cigar sit, I guess heat rises, but it's not going to be enough to fix the cigar.
Like fix the whole fucking canoe, right?
Actually, the other way around, right? If you take a longer draw, you're more likely to be able to get the fire to burn the sides.
True.
Turning it. So you got to take a longer draw and deeper draw to get the heat to burn the side of the tobacco. Hopefully it gets there. If not, just touch it up, right?
No. You turn it to the side and the heat rises and it would help the burn.
It fixes it.
Right. I think another myth that's kind of like a funny one is you can age cigar indefinitely, and the longer you age, the better they get. I think that's.
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, we all kind of, if you got into the industry for a while, you know that there is a life to cigar. Anything more than 10, 13 years, it goes downhill from there. It gets dry. The flavor goes away, and whenever you age it, it's not necessarily getting stronger. It's not getting stronger. It's actually getting weaker. It's getting more mellow.
No. It's getting weaker.
And the flavor kind of blending a little bit more. That's what makes the cigar better. It's not going to get stronger. It's not going to get better in a way, right? I think that's
well, it depends. Like if you don't like strength, that could do something for you.
I don't think it affects the strength so much, but it makes the cigar taste lighter. So you think the strength kind of mellow out a little bit, but it didn't. I think that's what it is. What do you think, Albert?
I'm kind of with Eric on that. I think it definitely smooths it out over time, and it probably does take some of the edge off of it. But talking about strength, Maduro cigars are stronger than cigars with a lighter color wrapper. Like, and a lot of times, like people will come in and say, don't put them on a dark cigar, man. Put them on like a Connecticut cigar because they're new, because they're not used to it. Well, strength of a cigar doesn't always follow that thing, right? It has to do with where the tobacco comes from on the plant. And so a Maduro cigar, frankly, I I remember this one cigar. It was they had a Nicaraguan and then they had a Maduro, and the Nicaraguan was more spicy, had a little more strength to it, a little more body to it. The Maduro was a little sweeter. It was definitely a little bit lighter in terms of its body and things like that. So Maduro cigars are not always stronger. And in fact, there's some Connecticut cigars that have definitely had a bigger punch than others. So you wouldn't. So I guess that myth kind of has just that's out there a lot. A lot of people think that, and it's hard to get past that conversation.
Right. I mean Connecticut was created kind of out of necessity, right? In a way, it's the lightest of all of them. So you would think that usually light-colored cigar is got to be lighter than a dark-colored cigar. But we also have this category of natural cigars, right? There's a natural category, which is not necessarily Connecticut. It's just like Habano or something that's lighter. But at the same time, any cigar, you can shove a Ligero in there. And then that immediately gets stronger, right?
I think the Connecticut cigar, fall back to what you say, is like a lighter taste, or just feel weaker, right? It's a lighter.
Well, we have cigar that are lighter.
I think
we have cigar that's lighter flavor, but then strong. And we also have some cigar that's really
strong.
That are very
weak.
Right? So it really depends. Usually is what they put in as a filler, not necessarily the wrapper. The wrapper itself doesn't have that much strength to it, in my opinion.
Trent, have you had the Rose of Sharon by Southern Draw?
Yes.
So that one has Ligero in it, so it's a strong cigar, but it looks like it's a mild cigar.
It's not a strong
Rose of Sharon
cigar.
is not a strong cigar.
I mean, it's stronger.
It's a light
because
cigar.
It has that Ligero kick, so it's got some spice in it, but it's a stronger Connecticut.
I don't know that. I never noticed that it's a stronger Connecticut. It just tastes like a weaker cigar to me. So
I mean, you don't smoke a lot of
Connecticut's.
I don't smoke a lot of Connecticut at all. Usually it's like Maduro or natural.
Yeah, I feel like that is really created out of necessity, and then because from that we create another category that was lighter. But there are people that actually like light cigar, like in terms of flavor and how much it burns you, and they have it for like breakfast, but they're not necessarily weaker, right? So they see a lot of brand that the lightest of their cigars are medium, and they basically say, okay, we're gonna make something that's medium but lighter. For example, DTT, they don't have, even the Connecticut are somewhat kind of medium, not like the lightest, like this, but the Sopo Mesa, they
Yeah, I would say that thing's like light to medium.
Yeah, that's medium. So if you get a beginner to try to smoke that, they're like, oh, that's kind of strong, right? And again, beginner varies too, right? You get some people like Hashimoto, the first smoke they get was like one of those, like, I don't know,
he got
Julius Caesar, heavy as hell, right? And they'll have it like idiot like Eric that went to like 660 right away for a cigar, right? So, but then again, if we I think it's one of those like common rule, like the 70-70 rule, which is also a myth, but it's kind of like that. Yes. Like a common rule is like, if you don't know what you get, pick the lightest one. Usually you'll be safe, but that's a myth. And obviously that we just brought it up. 70-70 is a myth. Like, a lot of cigar company try to sway from away from that now. Like, a lot. And if you ask them, they were like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I personally do like 65." They try to downtone it a little bit more now.
They swayed. They swayed away from it.
They start to say, "Oh, I tend to do 65, 60 will be fine too." You start to hear those, and then you hear a lot of company as you more involved in cigar more, is that they actually don't keep their cigar 70 all year long. They keep their cigar 70 for a while. They go back to a drier environment like 40, and then go back to 70 again. They don't keep it 70 all year long. You keep something like in that particular humidity, you're just gonna ruin your cigar. You're breeding that mold spore slowly. Eventually you'll get there somewhere.
I have a cigar myth. I want to throw out there.
Go ahead.
The more you pay for a cigar, the better it is.
Oh man.
Yeah, Tran.
Yeah, Tony.
No, I never say that.
Tran.
I never say that. But I tend to say you get what you pay for. I just don't say, the more
That's
you
true.
pay for a cigar, the more better it is. I tend to follow that you get what you pay for is because a lot of time you don't just buy the cigar, you buy the cigar and the packaging, right? So you're not gonna get $100 cigar with a really shitty packaging, right?
No, you
So
won't.
you're not just buying the cigar, you're buying the packaging as well. So in that case, you do get what you pay for. But inside, like if you take the packaging away, do you really get $100 cigar? You probably don't. You probably wouldn't get the $100 cigar. In fact, even the owner will be like, "Why do we sell it for that expensive and people still buy it? I don't understand it." So we get those.
Because deck it out, bro.
We'll get those. What else? What else do we have that is absolutely untrue?
Okay, here's another one. A white ash means that you're smoking a great cigar.
I've heard
That
that one.
one is kind of true. Or it's not. You're not smoking
I
a
think
great
so.
cigar, but the quality of the fermentation is good. It's less of I guess other mineral in there or other things that are not burned completely. So if it's white ash, it means it burned completely. If it's yellow ash, that means there's something else in there that you burned, and that didn't come out to be a white ash. So that's kind of somewhat true, but it's not necessary to like the cigar. So when you say if you get white ash, you're smoking a great cigar, great quality cigar. Not necessarily, but you could definitely say that they
Not necessarily.
they fermented nicely, and that all the residue of other stuff is not in there, so it burned completely. I guess that's what that myth came from, really, right? Because scientifically, can you really prove that?
And I think the minerals that are in the tobacco could have a lot to do with that, and where it came from, where the cigar was from. I'm sure that has something to do with that. Are the tobaccos in the cigar, right? They come from different regions, different areas,
Right.
so they obviously take on different minerals, and that's more of that. But it does look good. It does look good. A white.
If you really think about it, cigarette burns white too.
Well, it's pure.
Cigarette does burn white too, and are they really that
I see it mainly.
paper will just
No,
burn
I
off.
think cigarettes are more gray.
Yeah, but it really depends what,
Yeah, but it's still
still
white though.
right? It's just
Because even a cigar ash is still not white. It's like
so
gray,
like
right?
I still think that it's the mineral that's in there. That what they call it, whatever that's not pure, it will burn like that. It's just like how your ice water is clean, yes, but when you put it just to make it ice, it'll be like cloudy unless you get the top portion of the water which has no mineral in it, the kind of thing. So I think that's kind of the thing that gets a cigar. Why? And I mean, if we're gonna talk about this, you can also talk about in terms of toothiness, right? A cigar that has toothiness, that has dots on it, and those dots are not always gray, but a toothy cigar is good,
No, they're not always great, but you look on it. Yeah, you
right?
look for it.
Toothy cigar
you know?
is good. I mean, a lot of toothy cigar tend to
Yeah.
burn somewhat different color, sometimes yellow, right? Almost like brownish hue on the side,
because it's freaking.
like where it's not dot,
Because the oil be bursting,
right?
be bursting
So
everywhere.
you can
So-
kind of like debate on that one.
Going along with that, toothy cigars add more flavor.
I believe that.
I think toothy cigar
Yep.
has more flavor because toothy cigar are usually very oily, right?
Right.
They're
Yeah, they're
oily,
very oily,
so
yeah.
they tend to have more flavor because what you're smoking is not necessarily the tobacco leaf. Tobacco leaf is just what carries it, right? You're smoking the leaf, the oil essence on that leaf. So that toothiness came from that oil, and with more oil, you get more flavor, technically, right? But here's the thing though: do you guys like cigar feeling more toothy and oily, or more silky and smooth?
It depends on the cigar. If it's a Connecticut, I like the smoothie silkiness. But if I'm smoking Maduro, it's got to have like a little bit of tooth on it.
Dude, imagine having a Connecticut with
That's not possible.
toothiness.
Yeah, because it's not oily.
I'm just saying.
It's not oily.
Yeah, I know, but like, imagine if they could somehow do that.
I mean, it's
Be
just
nuts.
the way that
You know how good
tobacco's
that connector would
grown.
be.
I mean,
I
Drew
don't
Estate
think
might be able to do that. They would just put layers of oil on it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. But the thing is, like, Drew Estate, like the Liga number 9 and stuff. Okay, they're not toothy. They just feel very oily,
they're-
but they're not
they're toothy.
toothy.
Liga Lemonade is a little bit toothy. It's a little bit.
No, 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 no. To me, it's like a smooth.
Well, that's because
oil.
the new one, they actually put oil on it.
Right.
Yeah. So you know
The
what I mean?
older
Like,
ones are very toothy.
you can't. Like wait, yeah, back
Yeah,
in the
but
day.
right
But
now they
now
just
you
put oil
see them,
on
they
it.
just smooth oil.
Yeah, because right now they literally put oil on it. So that's what one of
Yep.
those things.
Yet there's another myth that, well, not I don't know if it's a myth or is it snobby, but if you use a match, you got better burn.
It doesn't matter. You could get a shitty burn
No,
with a fucking
that-
match.
That's actually debatable. It's actually not using the match to get better burn. It's that you use a soft flame, you get a better burn. Which
Yeah.
I think is true.
it snobby
Which I
or
think
is
is
it-
true because the soft flame,
think-
when you take a draw, the flame gets inside of that cigar. So you're gonna get a better, more even
It
burn
does,
inside that
yes.
cigar than a torch because torch is very surface. You can see it. You can literally see that fire gets flattened out on the surface of the cigar instead of getting puffed in. Because as soon as you puff in, that torch fire become a soft fire and just goes up, right? So in order to burn the cigar correctly, you need the soft flame. So soft flame does actually burn.
Yeah, but the
better.
thing is, like when you puff, like like when you start off the cigar, when you puff it, even with the torch, you still have that dancing
right,
flame
and
as well.
that's what the soft
right?
flame is. Because when you take in the draw,
So do you actually have to use the soft flame to
Yeah,
instead of
because-
torch to get a better burn?
the draw matters. So when you see somebody doing that, when they're taking a draw, the flame goes inside of the tobacco. When you do the torch, you take that draw, it actually blows out that fire. That fire goes outward instead of inward. So you'll burn the surface, and this is why you had to torch it. You had to toast it. You know how you when you use the torch lighter, you had to toast it outside.
Yeah, we
right?
toast it.
But if you use a soft lighter, you would never do that really. You would just take a draw, it goes right inside.
Yeah, you just think of like when the space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere, right? That's the torch, right? It's flames going around it, doesn't penetrate.
Right? It's actually very uneven. It's very directional. So like Albert said, when the space shuttle comes back, you see this whole thing engulfed in flame, but it's actually very diverted. It's not hitting the core of the space shuttle. It's actually hitting the outside and the side, and then dissipates. But if you have a soft flame, it's like an oven, right? It heats the inside. So technically that's true.
Yeah.
But it's just that people think matches have this like slow thing and it's all magical, and it's like you should do that because it burns better. No, it doesn't. If you take enough time, everything can burn better, right? You can literally use electrical
No,
burn.
you got
Yes, that's good.
you got to
don't
take
take
the
an
right
hour.
step to end.
Don't take an hour to light your cigar.
Yeah, don't take an hour to light your cigar. Yeah. How about this? I think this one is a myth, and I know, because the way I smoke it, I know it's that if you take your time and you light your cigar the proper way, the first virgin puff is the best puff out of the entire cigar.
No.
It depends, right? There is some cigar that tastes really good in a few first.
I don't think
puff.
there's one cigar where the first puff is good.
Really.
Yeah, because the first
do.
puff is just basically burn. You burn the.
But okay, yeah, but things like when I say first puff, like when I toast it, I don't puff on it while the flame is on it. I toast it enough to is lit already, then I puff. I think that is like.
then
that what
that's
they
not
know, like-
no, because then you will not have an even burn. Your first burn is always gonna.
Well, it's not about the even burn; it's about the flavor, right? The first hit,
Yeah, but
the
your
flavor.
first burn cannot be. It will taste the burn. Your first puff. We're talking about very first virgin
Yeah,
puff.
so like when you toast it enough just to let it burn, and then you don't puff it while you lighting it, right? You toast it enough, and then they burn, and it's already toasted.
Have anybody tried that? Because I light it however that's possible.
I did.
I have never got one single first puff that are good.
No, like I light it like that before, and I there is some cigar that I was like, damn, I should do that
Like
more
if I
often.
just toast the surface and not puff it, and then I decided to puff it, it tastes like ammonia.
No, don't just like you making sure it's
Yeah. Like
lit.
I burn through it. Like the entire front is gray color. Is lit,
Yeah.
right? So I take the first puff. It tastes like ammonia.
Really? To me, there's some cigar that tastes really good like that. I don't do it often, but when I do, I like it.
I don't know. I've smoked some cigars where I thought when I first light it, it's really fucking good. But then after that, it just kind of goes to like everything just blends together as you're smoking it. And I don't know, it's just like the whole experience throughout the cigar. It's not just about the first puff.
Well, yeah, you know, but the first puff, could make or break the cigar sometime.
Second puff can make a break. First puff, I know it's gonna be bad, no matter what cigar.
Okay, you're two puff Tony. I see.
I mean, I honestly believe that way because every time I smoke a cigar, doesn't matter how long I take to light it, first puff is never good. Like that's why I puff so many times before I start really puff it. I will puff until there's nothing left in the initial burn. You know, you'll see like I do the flaming dragon thing. You know, I puff
you do.
1,000,000 times. Make sure everything's burned out before I take that first good draw because I know it's gonna taste weird. But that's just me. So I don't know. Everybody else is different. Some people like, you know, they really take that first long draw and go, that is good. And I look at them, it's like, that's bullshit.
Okay, what do you guys think of bigger cigar? The bigger cigar, the stronger it is.
No.
There's some truth to that. For the same cigar we're talking about. For same cigar.
How about like the longer cigar?
No, the
Bigger,
larger.
not longer.
The larger the cigar.
The larger
overall,
ring gate.
Overall size.
Yeah, overall bigger cigar.
I mean, if you have like a Robusto versus a Churchill, you're going to have more tobacco in the Churchill. It's going to be a stronger cigar.
Right. So there's some truth to that, right?
I think it depends on how they. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying that there's some truth to that, right? Because now, if you're talking about the same blend and you're smoking more tobacco, technically, yeah, you gotta get more nicotine in you, so you're gonna feel like it's stronger because overall it takes longer to smoke, right? So you gotta get a lot more in you than not. But there are some tobacco or some cigars that are different blend. For example, we knew that Patrimonio, the Robusto, and the Toro are different blends. So yeah, Robusto has less tobacco but stronger. So there's some truth to it, but it's not always true. It depends on the blend of the cigar, and some manufacturers adjust their blends to match to get you the same experience, even with a longer smoking time. I mean, for example,
Yeah, that's the angle I go with. Is that I believe they will adjust the blend for the larger size or larger ring gauge, and so you may be, so it's not going to be stronger just because it's bigger.
for example, right, Woody is large as cigar, but it's not really stronger.
Right.
Yeah, just a big ass cigar.
Yeah,
think it's 'cause of the ring gauge,
holding's
though.
Connecticut. That holding's
I
Connecticut.
think it has to do
Not
with the
very
ring
strong.
gauge because if you have a bigger ring gauge, you're not getting the tobacco. I don't know. It doesn't. It just hits different.
Well, if you have a filler that are not very strong fillers, it doesn't matter, right? You can put like an inch. It wouldn't be any stronger than a 54 because the filler is not strong to start with. So technically, it's not strong. But then you can have something that are like, I don't know, a Lancero and put one giant stick of Lancero in there, or now it's got a stick. Right? So
Yeah, like
it really depends.
If they really like roll a big cigar with a whole bunch of Ligero in there, man, you can get messed up. You can get wrecked.
How about let's go directly to a very controversial one, the myth,
The legend.
the legend. If you smoke cigar, you gotta get lung cancer.
Oh God, no. I mean, there's a very small chance if you get lung cancer from smoking a cigar, you're not inhaling into your lungs.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
but
see, that's
There's still a chance, right?
that's a myth.
It's possible.
That's the myth.
It's
That's the myth.
possible.
That cigar smoker does not inhale any smoke into their cigar. You know, being a
It's a
cigar
myth.
smoker, I had to be very honest in this. That's a
Yep.
myth.
That's a
Because
myth.
you still breathe. you
You
still
breathe it,
breathe.
yes, I know
So
that.
you
But
gotta,
you're
you gotta
not
get your
taking
own
the.
secondhand smoke.
Yeah, you're not taking it all into your lungs.
You will. You take in smoke in your lungs no matter what you do. You drawing on a cigar. Come on, think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're definitely gonna get some draw,
Okay.
breathing, talking. You're gonna get some smoking.
Yeah, you're gonna get some.
But
Yep, definitely.
when you compare that amount of smoke to, let's say, I don't know, Eric's fart, which one's more harmful? I don't know. You're still getting.
Hey, my fart is like atomic bomb.
Right? Or like, standing right next to a smoker. Like I'm talking about like a roast, like a barbecue smoker. You're still taking that kind of,
Even
smoke,
a fireplace.
like harmful smoke to your lung.
Not
Right?
a fireplace, fire pit.
Fireplace, yeah, fireplace, fire pit. Even if, let's say, even if you go to like a hot spring place with the like sulfurs, you're breathing that into your lung, right? That's what the lung function is. It's gonna filter minute amount of thing. But I have not heard anybody. Okay, you can get cancer for doing nothing, right? You can get cancer doing nothing. You can sit at home all day, you get cancer. You use like a non-stick pan, you gotta get cancer. If you drink soda, you gotta get cancer. Cancer is really not always developed from you doing something, but on the other side, no, here's the scientific thing, okay? 70% of your cancer, all cancer out there, is caused by HPV virus. 70% of all cancers. Okay, and that you have in your body anywhere. And you can trigger it for simply doing nothing. Simply doing nothing, it can trigger. And the cancer really just means that your cells is being an idiot. It decides to reproduce itself to
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So people think cancer is like it's destroying you. It's actually the opposite. It's overproducing your cells. It's trying to kill you by overproducing. It doesn't know when to stop. It's like a cigar collector. It doesn't know when to stop.
Don't say it like that, man. It's funny shit.
Hey, I'm one of those. I know. I don't know when to stop.
Like,
Every time, like,
you can't be calling us out like that, bro.
yeah, you gotta state the truth. You gotta have the truth out there, right? I don't know when to stop. And it's the same thing, right? The cancer is just that. It's just one cell that decided to not know when to stop. Now the damage is different story, right? You can inhale anything that will damage. Like you can eat, I don't know, hot pot, it will damage your lung. You can smell some pepper, it can damage your lung. In fact, if you simply smell cinnamon, you're damaging your lung.
I don't know, man. I just ate a burger, so I just damage everything.
Right. You can damage. You're constantly damaging your cells. Right. Simply talking, you're damaging a lot of cells for talking. Clapping your hands. Somebody did a good job. You're like, yeah. You just kill 1 billion cells out of your hand.
And the thing is, like, I literally eat inside my mouth, so I eat myself alive every day.
Right. And sometimes you chew yourself by accident. That kind of stuff. You're killing yourself all the time. And just that, sometimes you just gotta get one guy, that guy who are not cigar smoker, walk into a cigar shop kind of thing, and you just gotta give you bullshit. And that's what cancer really is. It's scary because it could kill you, but at the same time, it's not so scary because if you understand what it is, you understand that it happens naturally, right? So the myth with smoking cigar is gonna kill you, we all know that it's not true. You know what's gonna kill you? Living is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Right? Because what's life? It's just like everybody try to outlive each other. But you're gonna eventually everybody dies. Right?
Yep.
There's not one person says, I will live eternally.
They're trying.
What's happened?
There's guys out there that are trying.
I have not seen one person in their hundreds and said, I want to live even longer. I've seen a lot of people who's in their hundreds, like, why don't I ever see you do anything fun? And they're like, yeah, because all my friends are dead.
Yeah, I can't, bro. I can't even move. I can't even go take a piss. What you mean?
Right? I'm eating through this tube, that kind of stuff. So living longer is not necessarily better unless you can replace all the parts like a car.
That would be something.
Right? So why not do something enjoyable? I don't understand. That myth is so damaging to the entire cigar industry that it makes no sense, because I say if you drink alcohol, you're killing yourself by the first sip. The moment you take a sip, the moment you smell alcohol, you kill a lot of cells just in your nose. Okay? You're like sterilize your whole body by just taking a sip of the alcohol. So if alcohol can kill you, but nobody have any, nobody bat an eye, and now you talk about smoking cigar can kill you, that's a huge myth. And we know it's not true. Can you get sick from it? Yes.
Of course.
But you can
get sick from anything.
You can get sick from anything. Yeah, you can get sick of your wife. You're like, I'm so sick of my wife.
That's every day.
Right? You can get sick from your job. I'm so sick of this job. Fuck this job. You know? So sick of this boss. Who's this boss? Fuck him. So we can get sick of everything. So yeah, I think that's the biggest myth out there is that it has truth to it, right? You're gonna get sick or you're gonna die if you smoke cigar, but it's never this black and white, right? It's not like, okay, you're dying because of cigar. You're dying because of everything else you do in life.
Yep. But they would never tell you that, right?
Yeah, because
they find the worst thing. They find the bad thing that you do, and they point it out.
it's like stating the truth, but cherry pick the data.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean. Like, I don't know.
It's like, hey,
what have you eat your whole life? Just
like
unhealthy shit, but you smoking. Okay, you dead. Like,
it's like saying that if you don't wear a mask, you gotta get COVID, right?
because
but the opposite will also be true. Let's say if you wear a mask, you could possibly get COVID. That's also true. So it's like, it's stating the truth without stating the whole truth. And tobacco is like that. The cigar industry is defeated by you stating some part of the truth. You're telling the school is telling your kids, hey, if you smoke tobacco at all, if you smoke, period, you're gonna die. All right, you're gonna die from smoking beef. You're gonna die from smoking tobacco. You're gonna die from that smoked salmon from the Stop and Shop. All right,
damn.
You're definitely gonna die for eating sushi in a gas station.
You can have some bad stomach flu and poisons, but yeah.
That is possible. So yeah, that's one of those things about some of the cigar myth, right? Is that it's telling the truth, but it's not the whole truth.
Yep.
Right? It has a portion of it is kind of true.
To add on to that,
it's like when we go back to that saying, cigar ash that's being white is better cigar, or that has more flavor. Well, yeah, there's some truth to it, but it's not the whole truth.
So to add on to that, cigar is worse than a cigarette.
Is that even a myth?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it.
I think that's just completely false.
It's a myth, right? Thank you. There's people that say that.
Yeah, they're saying that basically there's more nicotine. So, I mean, that term actually is that cigar has more. You're taking more nicotine, it's gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is, because they're saying cigarette has less nicotine, and cigar has more nicotine, which is true, right? Cigar really has true. Way more nicotine than a cigarette.
Oh yeah.
But you're not ingesting it nearly as much. You're not actually eating this. It's like, hey, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a cigar hot dog. Start chewing that thing, boil it. You're not eating it, so you're only being able to get so much, and you're not allowing your lung to filter majority of it, which is it's gonna absorb all this nicotine. You're not. Your mouth can only absorb so much, and it's not a lot. So yeah, the cigar does have more nicotine, but you're not taking as much, right?
I got one.
Okay.
A cigar should be licked thoroughly. Like, people will take the cigar, they'll lick all the cigar, get it all wet before they smoke it.
Oh, you're talking about that you should please the cigar before the cigar pleases you.
Well,
pretty much.
What if your cigar is like really dry? You just want to moisten it back up.
That's it. That Eric's on it right there. That's what's.
Oh my God.
I believe that's what's happening. But I think what they're doing, I think people are seeing that, like on a movie. They're watching an old movie or a movie from the 1800s, not the
when your cigar is
but about the 1800s. But those cigars were not humidified as well, probably, and so they probably needed to moisten it. I wouldn't say that, but they needed to probably moisten the wrapper so it wouldn't come unraveled.
Now,
and so
I hear a different story about that. Like some people are saying that not only you're making the cap more moist so it don't crack, but some people want to taste the wrapper.
That's disgusting.
Taste the what?
Like, it's like eating, right? But then, you taste the wrapper, has a flavor. And some people say that is to test whether or not the cap is sweet. It came from people who have sweetened cap. They just taste the cap. Yeah, I hear various versions of that story where white people suck on that cap or lick on the cap beforehand.
Suck on it.
Well, that's pretty much what they're doing.
Yeah, why are they blowing in the cap? No, they're stuck on the cap, right? It's because some cap are sweet.
Suck, blow, same difference.
Huge different. You know,
You blow on it.
it's the difference between $5 and $20. Huge difference.
Oh
Wow.
shit!
So, yeah, that means because there's some cigar that has sweetened cap, so they taste the cap before they cut it off.
How about you can't light your cigar with a Bic or a Zippo?
It's just a soft flame.
Yeah, or if you're in Chicago, it definitely can.
Yeah. I'll just wait till you get to Dallas. It's windy here too.
Yeah, so in a way you can, but it's not even a myth, right? It's preference, because they say that if you use a certain lighter like Zippo, you're gonna get that really nasty taste, right?
Oh, you're gonna get that gasoline. That
yeah. So there's some truth to it, and they say that you don't want to because if it's, but the truth is that if there's fire, you will lit it up. Okay, like
But what about the Bic though, right? The Bic have butane.
Well, the things that people use butane.
Yeah.
So
and people say don't use
that,
Bic.
thinking that our soft flame is not butane. Some soft flame is butane, right? So that's how. I don't think that's a myth. That's a preference. People say that if you use Zippo, it's gonna taste bad, or if you use certain lighter, it's gonna taste bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one.
Right. Okay.
So, Tony, you do this a lot, and I do the opposite. So let's say you buy cigars online. They have to rest before you smoke them.
All right. I
Right.
actually think the
we got it.
resting is half bullshit. Half bullshit.
Whoa!
There we go. That's a controversial
depends-
subject.
Okay. Here's the thing, right? You think that when the cigar company receive their cigar, like say if you're on lounge, right? You receive your shipment of cigar today, and they put it in a humidor, they're not gonna sell it today.
They're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
Right. That means they didn't rest.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, that's part of our job as consumer to fucking rest a cigar. No.
What? No. But if you're smoking in the lounge, you're gonna get like, hey, how long have this guest have appeared in your humidor? Is it 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day? Is this a new batch? Did you just open a new box? How long?
That's why we
sitting there.
That's why we have some shitty cigars sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But you can have shitty cigar for let it rest for 3 years and then decided to smoke it.
No, but I'm just saying, like sometimes you smoke the cigar that you like, but it tastes like shit
No, I don't think
because it didn't rest it.
I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference. Especially, it depends on the season, right? Okay, if you received it on like freaking sub-zero temperature, sitting in your mailbox, then
Rest the
yeah,
hell
you
that
should.
bitch.
Then you should rest that thing. And you get it, unfrozen, right? Unfrozen. But if it's a hot temperature, I don't really think that make that much difference because you got to burn that shit anyway.
But yeah, but you don't think hot temperature, like 80-degree outside, has been traveling, been all over the place. You don't think that matters?
Well,
It changes temperature and everything.
But
Just wait till you get to
Okay,
Texas. It's going to be
here's the
100 degrees
Yeah, but the
outside.
thing is, like, right, we tend to keep our cigar cooler, right? Not
Right.
hotter.
no, but then if you freeze the cigar, all the oil and the water will separate. and
Well, I'm not
that's what
saying
tastes
freezing it, but I'm just saying, like,
Well, sub-zero will freeze it.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm not saying I rest my cigar no matter what happened. But it's like that's why I was thinking, like, if it gets sent to me, I don't know what the hell it's been everywhere, right? I don't know what state it's going through.
Let me give you the scientific part of this. Okay, first of all, if you ship to your state, it's been on the same area around the same temperature for at least a day or two already. Okay, it's the same area. Okay, it's the same freaking truck. And when it comes to truck, I don't care how cold outside is. Inside is like 200 degrees. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's hot. Yeah,
Right? Okay. But when it comes to oil, either it evaporates or it doesn't. Okay? So resting it isn't going to change anything. The only thing that's going to change is if it's freezing. If it freezes, then you're changing its structure. You're changing, you separate the water and the oil. So that will now take some time for it to kind of recombine a little bit. So the oil and the water kind of recombines. But when it comes to heat, it doesn't, because oil either evaporates or it doesn't. You're not gonna heat water just so they separate from oil. It doesn't.
Oh no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But like, when you want to bring your cigar temperature down to where you want it to be, not
Well, yeah.
And
Well,
the
if
heat.
you receive your cigar is freaking on fire, then I don't think you should let it out.
I'm not talking about like I'm fired, but I'm saying like 85, 80 degree when it's like hot outside.
Dude,
Yeah,
that ain't
but
hot.
when the hot outside is in the box, right? It's inside the box,
Yeah.
in the box.
That's even it conduct more heat.
Did you really just
Yeah.
say that? It conducts more
Yeah.
heat.
Yes, it keep more heat into one.
So you
smaller
actually
area.
receive your box inside a metal box, inside a metal
metal
oven.
box. Jesus, man. I didn't say metal box. No, I don't have that kind of money to fucking receive my
Yeah,
freaking
so
cigar with
so
metal
you know
box.
this that paper box is actually very bad insulator to keep heat inside.
Yeah, but and it's also conduct heat too, right? Because
It's actually
bad
the
insulator.
opposite. It's actually the opposite because have
it
you not
does.
seen people use paper like shredded paper as insulation? You can
Yeah.
use cotton. You can use shredded paper as insulation. It actually separates heat.
Yeah, but you don't think it's hot. That's what you're saying to me. Like you
No,
don't
I'm
think
saying that unless you put that thing on a freaking sun, inside is always gonna be colder.
I don't know, man. Georgia heat get very fucking hot.
I'm telling you the truth. That's how science
Just
works,
wait.
right? That's how science works, right? If you keep a box inside a paper box, inside temperature is gonna be less than the outside because inside has no sunlight. It has
But
that
so-
oven effect. It takes a long time for the heat to penetrate that paper and to keep it in there. But there's no
but
way that
it's
inside
not,
is
it's
gonna
not
be hotter
out
than
there for
outside.
just a couple hours. It's out there for days. You
Yeah,
know what
but
I mean?
inside is not gonna be hotter than outside because
So-
you're not putting any material that's insulating. For example, why does car feel so hot? It's because a car is made of metal and windows, and
And windows,
they
yeah.
actually absorb heat, right?
Yeah.
A paper box doesn't do that.
I don't know. I've gotten boxes of cigars before, and I open up the box, and it's hot inside there.
It's hot inside. yeah.
It's hot inside, but it's not gonna be as hot as outside, right? It's like okay, if you can test this out, right? Put your cigar inside a metal box and put your cigar inside a paper box outside
Well,
for the same
see,
amount of time.
that's
See which one
different
burns
though.
your
Like,
hand,
you know what I'm saying? Like metal box, of course, they conduct heat.
right?
Like
It absorb.
I'm
It's
just
the
saying, like-
ability. It's the ability to absorb heat and give away heat, right?
So the
scientifically,
question is-
the inside that box, it's gotta be warm. Right? If you keep it in a warm area, it's gotta be warm.
be
Eventually,
warm.
your equilibrium where inside will be the same temperature as outside, but it's not gonna be hotter.
I mean, it's hot. It's freaking warm. It's like,
Okay,
you know what
so
I mean?
all right, so cigar burns at what temperature?
Right.
I don't fucking know.
Hot. Fire.
Yeah, I know that, but the thing is, like, okay, so you telling me a cigar that sit outside or go through whatever, compared to the one that you sit in your humidor, which one would taste better?
Well, it depends. What? Okay, if it's hot, you're talking about it's gonna burn funny. It's not gonna taste different.
It's gonna taste different, man.
So,
Temperature
No,
does
that's
affect-
because it's hot outside. Your taste bud is different.
so what I think the main thing that I'm worried about when I get cigars in from online orders or whatever, they're not in the condition that I want to smoke them in. So I've gotten cigars and I let them rest for a week, and I'm more worried about the humidity that's in my humidor versus the condition it came in. That's the main thing.
That I will agree. Okay, cigar you receive will be drier, but that's because a lot of them they just keep the cigar in a box in a big giant warehouse room where they're not being properly humidified. So that will make a difference, right? But your cigar is not gonna taste different. It's just burn funny or it burns horrible, and you're not gonna get the same distribution as water to oil when you burn it. It's gonna burn fine. It's gonna burn on a freaking fire. But if it's dry,
I don't
it's gonna
think-
get cracks.
I don't think
you're gonna get explosion. You're gonna get tunneling, whatever that you want to call it. All those issues will happen, but not necessarily the flavor.
I don't think it would taste better if you grab one from your humidor and get the one that literally just shipped to you,
It does.
right?
To me,
The
it
one
does.
in humidor tastes better.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. It's not always this. There's no way that you gotta expect all the cigar in the lounge has been sitting there and resting before they
No,
sell it.
not in a humidor.
Yeah, no, of course not, right?
So
because
if
that's
that was the
unit
case,
style.
why wouldn't they just let the cigar rest 3 days before they sell it then?
Because they want to make money fast, quick.
Okay, but then they
It's a
wouldn't want
business.
to. So you think that they was like, okay, you know what? To make money, we're gonna sell a cigar that tastes like shit because it hasn't rested, so that you
They
will
do all the
never come
time.
back to buy another one.
They would do all the time anyway.
Yeah. So, but then they just killed it, right? You're not gonna come back and buy another one because you had a shitty experience on that cigar.
I have smoked plenty of cigars. Open up the box, right? Open up the box, open up the package, pulled out a cigar and smoked it, and it was fine. no problem.
Okay.
But the question is the
So,
one in your
a
humidor
lot.
taste better?
The ones in my humidor taste better.
Yeah, mine is too.
It doesn't taste different. How about that?
And it's just preference. Like Albert,
Yeah.
do you let your stuff rest?
That's what I'm saying. I don't always let it rest. No. And I have not tasted a difference. I've not said, wow, this is markedly different than what's in my humidor. I wish I would have rested. I've never said that. It never dawned on me to do that. I've heard of people resting their cigars, and they want to, that's fine. But I'll go ahead and smoke them. I'll smoke it. If I'll look at it, and now if I pull it out, it's burning up because it's been in some hot truck, and no, but I've never had that happen. I take it out of the box. It feels like any other cigar. Now my humidor that I have the Wanador thing, and it sits in the 62s or whatever. But once I pull that cigar out of there, it doesn't take long for it to come up to the room temperature. So, I'm not smoking a cold cigar because it's in my humidor. It's really not much different than me pulling it out of the box that I get from, a mail bomb or a package I get from Little Guy or some other shop. So, yeah, I don't let them rest, and they taste fine.
Yeah, you talk about heat. You gotta heat up your cigar to like 400, 600 degrees, and you're worried about heating your cigar up. How does that make sense?
Because
if you just think
to
about
me, it tastes different, right? Like, okay, then why do we set our humidor to a certain temperature? Why don't we just leave it?
I thought we just talked about that. That is a myth.
Yeah, but okay, so why do we do it though?
Why do we do it? So that the moisture is not being evaporated as fast because it's not really hot. It's also not freezing, so it's not really cold. That's why you set a temperature. 70 is a
You're also
very
not
normal
breeding-
ambient temperature.
You're also not breeding little bugs and stuff like
Yeah,
that
too hot, you will
because
have
you're
beetles.
sitting. Yeah, you'll get beetles or whatever else.
Right, so that's the reason you are gonna set that thing on fire, and you're worried about what temperature that cigar is in terms of higher temperature. Just think
in my
about how
opinion-
funny that sounds.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know how funny it sounds. But in my experience, that I smoked, the
It
one
has
that
to do with the mental.
came to
It has
me.
to do with mental because you mentally feel better about it. It's like, I had properly taken
No,
this.
no.
It's gonna taste great.
Before I have a huge collection, I used to smoke them right off, all the time. But then I started noticing differences, little nuance when you let it rest. It's not like I'm not talking about like a whole spectrum, right? But there's like little nuance that will make it better.
Okay, so here's another thing: is that your tongue tend to taste more flavor when something's colder.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, me neither.
You don't believe me? Go taste the oil in the hot burning oil, see what you taste, and then taste oil cold. You gotta taste that.
Burnt the shit out my tongue.
Yeah.
Right? It's harder to taste things that's hot than things that are cold. So you're gonna taste more flavor when your tongue is tasting it at a temperature that you like. But cigar itself is gonna burn. So hotter temperature isn't gonna do shit to it. But colder temperature will. All right, it will freeze or separate the oil and the structure of that leaf. You just go get a vegetable and put in the freezer and see what happens. It's gonna destroy the whole structure of that leaf.
Yeah, it
Right?
will.
The
Yeah.
water will surface and all that stuff. It will change. So the only way to
would
do
be
it is
nasty.
you take your cigar out, rest it, let it kind of recombine a little bit. So cold temperature, I agree. Like if you got you got in the winter, you got the box, the freaking snowman jumps out of it, then yeah, you put it in the humidor, let it kind of come to our temperature it actually will take a few days for that to combine. All right. But if the temperature is hot, it makes no difference because you got to let that thing on fire.
Yeah, but the thing is like hot
That
cigars.
cigar is
now.
about to experience 6 to 10 times the temperature that you just experienced outside. You think that it actually
Fire.
you actually think that matters.
Yeah, I do.
In fact,
That's
it's gotta let up that oil much better for you because that oil is soft and nice, and then it's moving in there now. It's like all ready to go. Never anybody says, "Hey, I just bought this scented oil and I'm not gonna use it because I'm about to let it on fire, but outside is 100 degrees, so this scented oil is not gonna smell the same." Never in my life somebody say that, right? You gotta heat it up, so the hot temperature isn't gonna change anything for it, but the cold temperature will.
We're about to test that out.
Go ahead and test. It's science. Okay, if anything, that heat will change on your cigar is evaporation. But here's the thing: once it's gone, it's gone. right? Once the oil evaporates out of your cigar, it's gone. It's never coming back.
Okay.
So resting it is not going to make it come back. If anything, it's because you put in the humidor with cedar, and that cedar flavor kind of works its way back a little bit. But once it's gone, it's gone.
Would the leaf, if I, let's say, evaporated with the oil, right? And I put it in my humidor with other cigars, would it soak back the oil from other leaves?
The oil is never coming back, but the scent will. The scent, you're going to take all kind of scent. If you put a Cuba right next to it, it's going to taste like Cuba.
Well, the Cuba, just fuck that cigar. Don't even talk about that fucking cigar.
I'll just give you an example, right? If you put a Cuba right next to any cigar, it's going to take that smell. It's going to take that flavor in because it's right next to it. But once you lose the oil is not coming back.
What about cellophane versus non-cellophane? Like, let's say you're talking about the oils. They escape the cigar, but they're on the cellophane. I think they actually taste better in time with the cellophane on because the oils are like in that little confinement of the cellophane.
Well, let's do the scientific side of that, right? So cellophane proves that the oil leaves the cigar. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a breather. Yep.
All right. But because it stays on the surface, it's still giving out that smell back to your cigar. Right?
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
So you're not losing it completely. But if you lose it, you lose it. Right? So we're talking about the smell, the taste affects the cigar near that cigar. Right? So if you put a lot of cigar different together, it's going to kind of absorb all the flavors that's in there. So when you have it in cellophane, you isolate that a little bit because the amount of moisture and air travel through that cellophane is very limited. It's very small amount. And especially when you have an aged cigar, that oil kind of plug the pore that's on the cellophane. So it's actually keeping it in a really controlled environment, almost like if you put it in a glass tube, right? So the flavor that's lost kind of goes back again. But once the oil leaves, it's never coming back. You'll never see a cellophane all of a sudden got lighter because the oil went back to the cigar. But that proves what I'm telling you. Once, if the heat is going to affect your cigar, it's evaporation, right? Once it's gone, it's gone. And the only thing you can reintroduce to your cigar is water. That's it. Water. Make it more moisturized. That's it. And the flavor came from your cedar wood. So if this cigar is not supposed to taste like cedar, then you're fucked.
Yeah, it's like if you have a cigar that has been sitting in a humidor that has not been well kept, the only thing you can do is reintroduce water, but you've already lost so much flavor.
No, you could be like Drew Estate and just put oil in it.
But that tells you, because this is exactly why cigar has life, right? 10, 13 years later, all those oil evaporated or dried up and completely gone. There's no way to fix it. There's no way to reintroduce that back in there. So this is why they have a life. It just dies out. The flavor goes away, and that's it. It's a stale cigar. So all those crazy people that want to taste those Mayan 500 years old cigar, you're tasting nothing but dry leaves. Right? But scientifically, this is why I didn't care about hot temperature. I will rest the cold temperature one in my house. But
I rest all of them.
I will not rest the hot one because I'm going to burn the shit out of it anyway. I'm going to torture it like a witch.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, guess what? The witch is going to scream no matter outside is 10 degrees or 100 degrees or 400 degrees. Fire burns the same.
So I've got one.
So which one are you going to...
Go ahead, Albert.
Which one are you going to torch?
Which one I'm going to torch?
Yeah.
Whichever bitch that mess with me. Whichever one that took my cigar, that's the one I'm torching.
Don't fuck with Tony.
Okay.
Torch you.
Are you going to torch the sandwich?
No, I don't torch the sandwich, but I will
leave that one alone.
grill the sandwich though.
Nice.
Damn, Albert, you made me forget
gotta leave that grill mark on it. Panini that shit.
Yeah,
Panini that
okay.
shit.
That's okay. We're at the end of it anyway.
Pretty
right?
much.
So-
Yeah.
Okay, what were you about to say?
I don't know. Albert made me forget.
I'm gonna be burned like a witch after that statement for sure. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's it for the chat today. I guess that's pretty good chat. I think we will have something follow up for sure. Because something like a myth. There's always something, right? There's always something. There's a lot of things to it. But I hope the listener got some information from that. Maybe some good story to tell. Like when somebody tells you a story, oh, the Calibra, and then you go like, hey, wait a second. Let me tell you this, okay?
Right.
Calibra's Twister. Look it up. That would just, get the story going or something like that. Just like the crocodile upside down in the water.
Oh, my God. Yep.
Yeah. So that's it for the podcast today. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to come back to us every Sunday, 8 a.m. for more episodes. And I just, at the same time, tell you to join us on our Shadow Smokes Legion Live Wednesdays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And that will be it for today. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
See you later. See you later.
You've been listening to the In the Shadows podcast. There's nothing like a fine cigar, and that's our passion. And on the show, we'll talk about everything and anything cigars. And you know what happens when you get a bunch of guys together smoking cigars. The conversations go on. And that is what this show is all about. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Remember, everything you need is on YouTube at Soy Sauce Assassin. The live show is every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And get cigar reviews. Wishing you long ashes. We'll see you next time on In the Shadows podcast.